report of mine. The war's coming forth, never with the disguise. Another A-bomb for you, I really was it. Shot medals in my vocabulary. Rolling with the punches, I'm roll beating and jumping. Dealing with the problems, I got to be coping. Making it fit, and I click just like a Lego. I'll be Casio, but you can be tackled from the FBI to the CIA. I'm clearing out the path and here to LA. I leave from C-Town, kicking the roof down, ripping up the mic and way past sundown.
And let's try this one again. So we are back. Take two. This time on Facebook and YouTube. X still does not want to work for us.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, X has been down all day, which hell of a day to be down for X, by the way, with all the NFL trade or not NFL trade deadline, NFL free agency opening up, like just a hell of a day for X to be down, I guess. So those of you that usually watch on X, Taven, if you want to put something out on socials and just say, hey, X isn't working, hopefully hopefully we can go ahead and just move it. And stream will be, thank you. You just put it out. Awesome. So hopefully those of you can navigate over to YouTube, can navigate over to Facebook and watch our show a different way. But for now, Taven, let's go ahead and I guess let's talk about what we had been talking about, and that was the fact of pitching for the Guardians, right? So I guess we can just restart this conversation.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, perfect. So let's start with, you want to start with the positives or the negatives? Surprises.
Let's start high.
Okay. So, and that's what we did before we had to cut the show off there as well. By the way, we both are doing well. Introductions got made in the last show, yada, yada, whatever. Congratulations to your high school for making it to the Final Four. I traveled around New York. That's basically all we talked about. Okay. Okay. Highs on pitching. We'll talk about one guy, and you know the guy. We'll talk about him later. But first, what we're going to end up talking about is I got to pull my stats back up here. Just talk about some of the guys that, again, you said this the last time we fired it, maybe weren't super surprising, but guys that were pitching really well. Logan Allen has refound his rhythm. That, to me, is honestly pretty surprising given how he finished last season. Gavin Williams has refound his form, which is great to see. And then some of these older vets are still in great form. Ben Lively is there in pretty good form. A lot of the bullpen guys like Gaddis and Heron, Clase still trying to find his rhythm. He will. Cade Smith has been pitching really darn well. A lot of young guys out of the bullpen. Jacob Junis has pitched in one inning. He's been pitching really well so far. And then just a lot of your guys in the starting rotation are starting to get there and get back to form as well. Bybee, we've seen pitch once. He's pitched 3 innings. He looked good. And a couple other of the younger starters have pitched quite often, such as guys like Allard, and have pitched really darn well. First name there being Colby Allard, starting to pitch pretty good. But Taven, the one guy we have to talk about here. Well, okay, so before we talk about Nick Hazy, because that's been the story of the mound so far for spring, let's talk about Gavin Williams first. How important is this for what a lot of people could consider, without Shane Bieber, the Guardians' ace, to be getting back into the form that we all know that he can hit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's huge. Gavin Williams is your number one prospect at, a time in this organization. So, getting him back, I feel like is, obviously a big thing. It's, can he stay healthy? I believe he can. I don't think he falls into that trap of, your Delators or your Valeras. But we did see him struggle a little bit when he came back. So I think it's a little relieving to see him bounce back and be a strong, be in the running to be a strong number 2 after Bybee, with Bieber starting on the IR.
Here's Gavin Williams' stat line for those of you curious people. 3 games started is 1-0, but again, pitching records are overrated anyway. In 8 innings pitched, has allowed 5 hits, only 1 earned run while walking 2 guys and striking out 16. His strikeouts per 9 in this very, very short time, 18 strikeouts per 9 innings, which is just an insanely high number. 0.88 whip, 1.13 ERA. Really good stat line for Gavin Williams. I don't think that that's going to be sustainable throughout the course of a full season, because if it is, he's going to be your Cy Young winner, no doubt. So he's going to see more bumpy roads. He's going to see his blow-up starts. But when you're talking about spring training, if we see this from Gavin Williams for the first 5 starts, I mean, go ahead and put him into that number 2. He might even pass Bybee, who we've only seen once and still pitched well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's a huge key to this team's success. Obviously the starting rotation's a big, kind of question mark coming into this week. And I think the big question around this team is, can Gavin Williams perform? Can Ortiz perform? Can the new guys with Cantillo and Nikhazy step up? So I think, what we've seen this spring so far with Gavin Williams stepping up, I think is a big, very big for this team.
Well, you mentioned one name right there, which we have to start having serious conversation about breaking into this opening day roster and possibly an opening day rotation spot, and that is Doug Nikhazy. Started with Akron last year, moved his way up to Columbus, pitched well, and he has pitched the 3rd most innings in spring training, is 1-0, does have a hold as well, has only allowed 1 hit, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. That's 12.9 strikeouts per 9 innings, 0.43 whip, and a goose egg in the ERA standpoint. Taven, if he's not a lock already, he's really darn close. I really see no way at this point, if he keeps pitching like this, that Doug Nikhazy does not make the opening day roster.
Yeah, I think, it goes to the number of spots that are open on that roster. The only guys I really see that are locks is kind of Bybee and Williams. I think everybody else is kind of up in the air. And with that, I think Nikhazy might crack that roster with the way he's been performing as, a 4 or 5, which is crazy because I know we both had him starting in, AAA to start the year. And call me crazy, but I think Logan Allen makes a strong case too, which is nuts.
Yeah.
2 guys that we had starting in AAA could very well start the year with the big league club as being your number 4 and 5 pitchers.
So I think right now you have probably 3, you can correct me if there's more, but probably 3 rotation spots that are locked down until Bieber gets back healthy. And that's going to be Bybee, that's going to be Williams, and it's also probably going to be Ben Lively because he's got a sub-2 ERA in the spring right now as well. So 4 and 5 are open, and I think clearly the 2 guys that are going to fill those roles right now are Logan Allen as well as the likes of Doug Nikhazy, because Ortiz has just not pitched well. Ciccone has just not pitched well. And they can use Ciccone out of the bullpen, sure, maybe as like a bridge guy or someone that can come in like a Pedro Avila, be an inning eater. But I don't know if the Guardians organization is going to give up on Ortiz that easily. Taven, do you see a world in where the Guardians go to 6 starters?
I really don't. I mean, you mentioned Slade. I've never seen it with him. Like, just straight up from the draft, look at his stats when this is kind of just a dump Naylor's contract, and it was. So I don't see him really in contention. Then you look at the other guys outside of the 3 you just mentioned. I want to say you have Ortiz, Cantillo, Nikhazy, and Logan Allen, and then McKenzie. Yeah. So those would be the 5 guys that, are kind of fighting for a spot there.
Ship sailed on McKenzie. Let's put that one to bed.
Ship sailed on McKenzie. So now you're down to 4. With the way the guys have been pitching, call me crazy, but the last 2 spots I would fill with is probably Cantillo and Logan Allen. I would start the year with Logan Allen strictly because he brings a little bit more of a veteran presence.
Logan Allen, I think probably for sure, given the way that he's pitching, and he's got the most innings out of any Guardian pitcher in spring training so far. To me, though, I mean, Ortiz, Nikhazy, Cantillo. You can have that debate for the number 5 spot, and you can keep more than those guys on as like bridge guys if someone has a blow up start. But right. Taven, this is what we were talking about when we mentioned that with Shane Bieber healthy, and then if Tristan McKenzie can turn it around, which we both don't believe he will, but if he can, if Ortiz can turn it around, if Ciccone can somehow flip a switch on, there's probably 10 guys in this organization right now that could be bona fide starters at the major league level. This is going to be probably the toughest decision of the spring for Stephen Vogt. You know the guys that are going to be locks in that rotation. They're pitching well in the spring, and they did it for you last year. It's going to be Lively. It's going to be the likes of Bybee, and then there's one more who I don't know why, Williams. There you go. So those three are going to be fully, I mean, no question. But then you have five, maybe six other guys that you can throw in conversation. I think the way he's pitching, Logan Allen has deserved one of those spots. Does Stephen Vogt take a risk? Do you give the young guy Nikhazy a chance, who by far and away has pitched the best out of any name that is left to draw out of that hat? Because then you have Ortiz, you have Saccone, you have...
Sorry to cut you off. We got X to work.
Woo! X is
Beautiful.
here. Okay, welcome all of you viewers.
There we go.
All right, welcome all of you viewers on X. We are talking about pitching right now, so... All right, hopefully that view count starts to go up. But just to recap real fast, Doug Nikhazy is making great contention to get a rotation spot. And Taven, again, this is just what we talked about, man. So many pieces can fit into this Guardians rotation besides Bybee. And then you even have a tougher decision to make, because then Bieber, once he comes off the IL, is going to get pushed into that rotation. And then you're going to have to kick someone that's probably pitching really well out. I mean, this is such a big puzzle, and there are only so many pieces to go with the puzzle, but you're being given more pieces than what you need to complete the puzzle.
Yeah.
So how do you make them fit? How do you make them fit and gel in the right way?
That's a really good question. And if I'm Stephen Vogt, I'm just going strictly off performance. I wouldn't go off of, guys who necessarily might be older, guys who might necessarily, earn their spot. I would strictly go who's hot. I would feed the hot hand. Nikhazy, he's performing well. I'd go with him. Guys, along the lines of, maybe you start the year with McKenzie. He doesn't do as well. Then maybe send him down AAA, bring somebody else up. I mean, like you said, there's 9 or 10 guys that can really fight for a spot here. And I'm giving it, besides the 3 locks that you kind of just mentioned, I'm kind of just saying, here, go fight for a spot until Bieber gets back.
So, I mean, a 7-pitcher rotation is never going to work. But, I mean, is this a Guardians organization, and with everything they have, kind of forcing Stephen Vogt's hand here to go with a 6-man rotation? I think it can definitely happen. I don't think it does, but I think it can. And if Vogt is going to do to what you're saying, Taven, and strictly go with the who's hot, who is pitching really well right now, well, that's going to be Williams, it's going to be Bybee, it's going to be Lively, and then it's going to be Allen and Nikhazy. And if those people out there that are worried about, you don't have enough young guys, you don't have enough experience. I mean, Williams is younger, but he's got major league experience. You've seen what Bybee's done at the major league level. He's not losing his spot. Ben Lively is a veteran. Logan Allen is a veteran. And then you throw in a rookie in Doug Nikhazy, who has pitched his absolute tail off.
Yeah, for sure. I think, again, like you mentioned, it's going to be a dogfight. So it'll be interesting to see who Vogt goes for his starting 5 or possibly 6, at the end of the year.
So let's just rattle off names here. Bybee, Lively, and Williams have secured their spots. Otherwise, potential fits. McKenzie, whose ship has sailed, but we'll include him in this for the sake of this conversation.
Yeah.
Allen, Nikhazy, Ortiz, possibly Slade Saccone as well. So there's 5 more. I don't really think I'm missing anyone, and we are not including Shane Bieber in this either, by the way. I mean, I don't think I'm missing anyone that's seen significant enough time to me to really be pushed into this conversation. So you got 5 guys right there. You eliminate McKenzie, boom, there's 4. You eliminate guys that aren't pitching well like Saccone and Ortiz, then it leaves you with the likes of Allen and Nikhazy. But the reason that this is so hard, Taven, and feel free to correct me if you disagree, is because they traded for Ortiz to be a good veteran presence in this rotation, and I just don't think Vogt and company are going to give up on him that easily.
No, I don't think you can. I mean, at the end of the day, if you really look at the trade, you kind of just gave up Jimenez for Ortiz. Essentially, that's kind of what that trade was. And I mean, we say it a lot. You can't really buy too much into spring training, but you also can't negate it. So I'm looking at what Ortiz has done. Yes, I know there's a lot of upside with him, but he hasn't done a lot well now. It's going to be a tough decision, but I think you have to keep Ortiz around.
By the way, Ortiz and Ciccone have allowed the first and second most hits in spring training by Guardians pitching. 12 for Ortiz, 11 for Ciccone. You subtract 1 from both of those totals, and respectively, those are their earned run totals. They aren't necessarily walking too many guys, but they're not striking enough guys out either. Ortiz has a K per 9 of 10.3, which isn't bad, but you've allowed 12 hits. You only got 8 strikeouts. That's not good. You allow 11 hits for Ciccone. He's only got 5 strikeouts. That's not good. Maybe they stick around as bridge guys, or maybe you don't give Nikhazy a full-on rotation spot right out of the gate because, I mean, let's face it, it's spring training. You're not going to pitch guys in rotation-driven spots. You're going to pitch guys 2 or 3 innings at a time. So maybe you give Nikhazy that bridge job, and then that allows Ortiz to come in. You got to have an inning eater like Pedro Avila, and you could definitely split that. Nikhazy could get time. Ciccone could get time. But, I mean, at this rate, Taven, I'm kind of talking to myself into it here. I think Doug Nikhazy has to be a lock. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the dude's on fire, and if you need a guy to eat innings, it's going to be a younger arm like, Nikhazy. I don't think it's going to be Bibee or Williams, a guy of that nature. And with the depth that you have for the starting, rotation, I think you can keep one of those guys on. I think there's room on the 26 to have a guy as that 6th starter, or, maybe increase the bullpen, something along those lines. So I think if Nikhazy especially, he's got to keep it going. But I think if he keeps this up, he'll start in Cleveland.
So we'll be back in 2 weeks' time here on March 24th. But if you had to give your prediction right now, who's going to be the starting 5 pitchers minus Shane Bieber on the IL?
I'm going to go with Bibee as my ace. I think that's a lock for pretty much everybody. I'm going to go with Gavin Williams at the 2 and Lively at the 3. Now, this is where, it gets very interchangeable. But me personally, at my number 4, I would go with Joey Cantillo. I've loved everything that he's brought since, since Akron. I love everything that the dude's about. Let's not forget, he was selected for the All-Star game in Seattle, the Future Stars game, whatever that was. Yeah, he was selected for that. So obviously a lot of people think very highly of Joey Cantillo. I'm one of them. And as my 5th, it's a toss-up. You got Nikhazy, you got Logan Allen, you got Ortiz, you got all these different guys. If you're asking me who I think it will be, I think it will be Luis Ortiz, just from what you've given up. But who I want it to be, and this is probably in the minority, I'm going to go with Logan Allen. I've loved Logan Allen since he was in Akron. I think he had he had a down year last year, but I still think he has a lot left in the tank. I know the dude, he can pitch when need be. I like Logan Allen a lot. I think he's a veteran presence. So I'm going to go with Logan Allen as my number 5. And if you keep another 6 guy around, type of like an inning eater, as you said, I think I'm going to go with Nikhazy.
Yeah. So, and to me, it's a little bit different because I think that Williams has better stuff than Bibee. I think when everyone's pitching at full strength, obviously Shane Bieber is going to be the GOAT of this pitching staff, but I think Gavin Williams has just got more wicked breaking stuff, and Bibee has got some really good pitches. We saw it all throughout this year and then into the postseason as well. But Williams, man, is the highest ceiling player. He might even have a higher ceiling than Shane Bieber. And Shane Bieber, when he pitches well, is a perennial Cy Young contender. So to me, Williams and Bybee, I think are going to kind of be that 1A, 1B. But then obviously Ben Lively is going to fit into a rotation spot there as well. Now, my 4 and 5 guys that I'm predicting as of right now, like I said, I don't think they're going to give up on Luis Ortiz, even though he hasn't pitched well. I think he's going to get a rotation spot because when you make guys bridge guys, you can't put a veteran like Lively or Ortiz at the bridge. That just seems like disrespect, and it's just a thing you don't do in baseball, at least not a thing that you see get done very often. And then I agree with you. Logan Allen has found something. He just kind of dove down and sort of regressed at the end of last year. And again, I know you can't read too much into spring training, but if it were me, I'd love to see the guys start into that rotation. And then, like you said, if you want that bridge guy, if Ortiz has a blow-up start, continues to not pitch well, then Doug Nikhazy is going to be right there. Taven, I have no clue what you do with Slade Ciccone right now. None.
I mean, with Slade, it's tough. I mean, if he wants to sit in AAA, I mean, I guess I'm cool with that and just see what he has there. But if not,
what's he getting paid though?
I have no clue. I'm fully ready to DFA him. Nothing against him. I mean, I just look at his stats and then he comes out and he's not great. And of course, you trade fan favorite Josh Naylor for him, so there's a lot against him. Nothing personal here, but you look at his stats, you look at what he's done. Not a roster spot really for him. Probably not going to keep him around.
All right, let's move on into the bats, my friend. We'll give you the floor on this one to kick it off. Who has sort of surprised you in terms of the hitting department?
Well, surprised me, not in a good way, was Juan Brito. A guy who we were very, very high on. And unfortunately, he has not been great in the box. At
19 plate appearances, just 1 hit.
Yeah, not great. Do you have the batting average in front of you?
.053.
Yikes. It slips by the day.
Man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had high hopes for our boy Juan Brito. I think he can get back to what he was at times with the organization. I mean, we've seen it in the minors. I mean, we know the guy can play. He's just in a slump, and it happens. We've seen that with guys in spring training. But
if we're going to keep it on the theme of disappointments, I mean, I wanted to see Petey Halpin do a lot more than what he's done. 14 plate appearances, only 1 hit for him. Carlos Santana, I've wanted to see put bat on ball a lot more than what I've seen so far, but Santana is a vet. He's going to find his rhythm during the season, so I'm not overly worried about Santana, but I guess you can start to have some concern. 3 hits and 22 at-bats is not great whatsoever. And then other guys that, I mean, just wait until they get into the big league play. Jose Ramirez, wait till he gets into big league play. You can say the same thing there about Carlos Santana there as well. And then other than that, I mean, everyone's either surprised me or is hitting pretty darn solidly for what I would give them credit for. But biggest disappointment to me by far and away has been Brito. I'm exactly with you. Santana, maybe if you want, you can start to get a tiny bit concerned, but I'm not going to. He's a vet. He'll figure it out.
I do think we owe our boy Juan Brito a little bit of an apology. He had a 3-run home run today against the Cubs.
Oh, okay. See, the batting average is going to go up.
Back up to
the batting
95.
average is going to go up.
There we go.
The batting average is 95. Going to go. I think I have that. No, wait, hang on. There's no way.
Guardians Prospect have tweeted out.
Okay, yeah. But
2 hours ago.
So I'm on ESPN right now, and I think it has pretty up-to-date stuff. Please don't tell me what I'm thinking right now. I mean, that could very well be his only hit of spring training so far.
I think it was the second.
Okay.
Yep.
It better be because I mean granted,
not great
3-run home run,
but
I mean granted, 3-run home run, great. That's awesome. That's fine. Let me check. I think you are correct. I think it was his second. I'm gonna fact check that real fast, but yeah, No matter what, I mean, still disappointing when you've only put bat on ball twice. Like, that's
not great.
So then who surprised you? Who are some guys that you're looking at and saying, okay, I didn't really expect this from him, or okay, I'm really glad to be seeing him doing what he's doing right now?
I think a big one, which, you know, me and you kind of conversated before the show, and not to take yours, but Will Wilson. He's been putting the bat on the ball very,
He
very
was the
well
Rule
in spring
5 pick,
training.
by the way.
Yep. I love that. Love that pickup. So I'm going to go with Will Wilson, another guy who, you know, not to me is kind of shocking, but maybe to everybody else, Will Brennan. He's still putting bat on the ball very, very, very well. And a guy I know a lot of people have counted out saying, oh, I don't want him to be, you know, starting right fielder, this, that. Oh, I'd rather have Noel. He's hitting 316 in spring training.
Yeah.
So.
Again, sorry, trying to find Juan Burrito's spring training stats. Because ESPN, okay, yep, there you go. You are right. It was his second. So the batting average is up to .095. We're getting there.
There we go.
His OPS is a 5.55. I mean, still bad. Still very, very bad.
Yeah, not great.
2 home runs. So, Taven, both of his hits have been home runs. So,
it's impressive. We know he has power.
Some of the things that you find in baseball, some of the trends, man, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let me actually refresh the Guardian stat page here. Maybe that'll be more up to date now. Probably will be, I would guess. Nope. Still not yet. All right, well, we'll go what's off of my ESPN app here. So you had mentioned a couple names there. Brennan as well as Freeman are both hitting above 300. Freeman is the other guy that's been really surprising so far. He's hitting 438. He's got 13 total bags, 7 hits in 16 plate appearances. Give yourself a round of a hand there for Tyler Freeman. Manzardo is really starting to find that rhythm, man. I am getting more and more confident about Kyle Manzardo. Defense is getting there, but getting more and more confident with Kyle Manzardo. But I said it when we went on Ethan's podcast, we have to give our flowers to Brian Rocchio. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. He is just picked up right where he's left off. And if we see any semblance of what he's doing now continue through the first month of the season, I mean, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, these young guys are really starting to find it, you know, especially the middle infielders and guys of that nature. Our boy, another guy who, you know, not really shocked me, but he's on fire, CJ Kafis. I mean, that dude, wherever you put him.
Yeah, didn't start out too hot, but I think he's really picked it up. He's only 2 for 9. Again, probably a guy that you're going to see start in a minor league role somewhere, whether probably, hopefully in Columbus. But I mean, still, we both had him as our minor league MVP from last year. Thomas is putting bat on ball in a big way in the home run swing. John Kenzie Noel is starting to get some better production. He's hitting 273. So I give Big Christmas a little bit of credit there.
Yeah, for sure. That's something you won't
he's
really
not
see out of
all
him
power.
often. Yeah, I'll give him credit. That's, you know, where we really need him to pick up the slack. And he's been doing it. He's been getting, you know, base hits. So
Micah Prees hitting well. Milan Tolentino hitting well. Jorge Burgos. I mean, Taven, a lot of these young guys are raking right now and putting bat on ball, showing out. Bazana has even put a couple hits up and hit a monster home run during spring training there as well. And then there are guys with just a couple at bats. Cooper Ingle, 4 for 8. Again, a guy that can hit as a catcher, which you don't see much. But I mean, Taven, do we really have any sort of surprises here on guys that are hitting well that might crack the opening day roster that we didn't think, like a Doug Nikhazy on the pitching side? To me, I don't think so, but it could definitely improve where some of these guys land come around April when they get placed onto their minor league teams.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think at this point, the everything but the starting rotation's kind of finalized, in my opinion, already up until this point. I think maybe the only competition I see is A at second base, and B is kind of that last outfield spot between, where's Freeman, Will Brennan, and Noel going to kind of play. I think they'll all make the team, but it's kind of who's going to start and right, who's going to, be a utility guy, and who's going to DH, like, more so. So I think, yeah, I mean, it's for these guys to maybe start like a Valdez if he goes nuts the next month, maybe start a AAA opposed to AA. So it should be fun to see how these young guys compete for spots. And
I think it's if Brito continues to struggle at the plate, I think it's going to be Gabriel Arias that gets that second base spot, or maybe you give it to Freeman.
What has Arias
Freeman
done,
is a natural infielder.
Has Arias been hitting the ball well? I haven't paid too much attention to his stats.
A lot better than what he has been. I mean, it's not fantastic, but I mean, he's hitting 238. He's got 9 total bases on spring training. 5 for 21 is really not that bad.
No, especially for him. That's solid numbers right there. So
told you he fixed something in his swing. Again, maybe that Rule 5 draft pick Will Wilson comes into play here.
He could. He's an older guy. I know. I mean, he might come out of nowhere like a Daniel Schneemann type of guy. Nobody heard about Schneemann until he was literally brought up from the minor leagues, and he contributed in a big way his first month up there. Yeah, he cooled down a little bit, but I mean, a dude that can play 7 out of the 9 positions on the baseball field, it's a guy you want in your arsenal.
So let's have the same conversation with Brito that we had with Ortiz, although it's going to be a little bit different to me because when we kick off this conversation and you talk about Brito, this is a guy that has no major league experience at all and was expected by a lot of fans, including the two of us, to seamlessly, maybe not seamlessly, but to fit into that second base void that was left by Andres Jimenez. And now, to your point, we could see, or I should say, to my point, we could see Freeman in there. We could see Arias in there. Maybe even one of these younger guys can come up. Like, again, like you said, if a Valdez goes crazy, he's not hitting too bad himself. Or any of these other prospects that just absolutely shows out, maybe like a Travis Bazzana. But to me, it's probably going to be Freeman, Brito, or Arias. I mean, the reason you don't give up on Ortiz is because he's a guy with major league experience. But do they give up on Juan Brito? I don't know if they give up on him, but now I am not confident at all about him nailing down that starting second base spot.
Yeah, like you said, I think it's really 50-50. Are you going to give up a Burrito? No, I don't think you can. He hasn't played, any time in the majors. So obviously, worst case scenario is Burrito finishes out, with 4 hits in spring training or something terrible, goes back down to the minor leagues, succeeds, and they bring him up in June or July, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he hasn't made a fielding error yet. He's a perfect 1,000.
Yeah, and I don't think the field's the question for him. I think it's just strictly at the plate. But with the depth that you kind of mentioned, with Arias not, with Arias reinventing himself, and Freeman really slugging at the plate. I don't know. I would roll the dice on, one of the guys that has been up there over Burrito thus far, just looking at stats. And then another guy is Daniel Schneemann. He's hitting 235, not the best average, but a little bit more power than we saw last year. He's got 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and a 1.056 OPS. Are you kidding me? On base plus slugging.
Who was that?
Daniel Schneemann.
Jeez, man.
Look at that. 1.056. So guys are putting up those stats in spring training, and they're veterans. They've been up there before. I'm putting them in, that opening spot for opening day at second base.
So let's have conversations about second base and about the likes of the right field position, because third base is Jose, shortstop is Rocchio, and first base you're going to swap out between Manzardo and Santana. There's 4 spots. Catcher is going to be Bo and Hedges. And then once David Fry gets back, he'll slot in there, but he's on the IL right now. So you add in the catcher, that's 6. And then you go back and you look at the outfield. Quan and Thomas are going to be left and center. So there's two more. Multiple of these guys are going to end up making the team, but there have to be a couple that don't. So when you talk about the second base spot, Freeman, Schneemann, Arias, and Brito, and then the outfield spot, you can put Freeman there as well, but also Brennan and Noel. I believe that's 6 names that I just mentioned there. I think one of them has got to not make the team. And Arias has a perfect fielding percentage. Freeman has a perfect fielding percentage. I believe Brennan has a perfect fielding percentage as well. Angel Martinez has really struggled in the field so far. Same with Halpin, same with Watson. The one error that Jose Ramirez has made, I'm not even concerned about it. But yeah, so second base, let's start there. We were kind of already on that conversation. I think you're going to see a platoon of guys at second base this year. You can see Arias, you can see Schneemann, you can see Freeman, and I don't think, again, they're going to give up on Juan Brito that easily, but because he's a younger guy, there's definitely going to be a lot more hesitation than what we've talked about with the Luis Ortiz conversation.
Yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, second base, I think it's really up in the air. I think it's just, who's going to play the best, and I think that's who's going to get that spot. So that's honestly my opinion. I don't think anybody's
when you're looking at the second base position, are you looking for a guy that's strictly defense? Because Jimenez could provide a little with the bat at times, but it's his glove that was shine. Or is Vogt, do you think, going to go for a little bit more of a balanced approach? Because now he knows what he has at shortstop in Rocchio. It's a guy that's going to hit and a guy that's going to field really, really well. First base, Santana's been here before, and Manzardo is raking. His defense is only going to get better. What does he look for at the second base position? Do you want someone with more of a bat? You want someone who's good in the field? Or do you want a little bit of both? Because if you want a little bit of both, you could go with Schneemann or Freeman or even Arias as safe options. Burrito's a young guy with some really high upsides, so that's going to be the risk there. But, I mean, all 4 of those names pose their different pluses and minuses.
Yeah, I think the perfect, guy for that spot, and you might call me crazy just because he switched to the outfield, but Tyler Freeman, I mean, I like everything he brings defensively. I think he's hitting the ball really well. Let's not forget another guy who was your number 1 prospect at time. So if you want a little bit of both, I think the best guy with balance, give me Tyler Freeman at second base.
I honestly love it. I really love it. You take a look at the way that he's hitting. I want to make sure I don't mix up him and Brennan's batting average because, I wasn't going to. Or was I? Maybe I was going to. Well, hang on now. Now I've lost the batting averages. Whoops. Yeah, Freeman's hitting 438 and Brennan's hitting 313. I mean, you want a guy who's going to give you some pop in the bat as well as be pretty solid at the field. I know they've switched him to play outfield, but he was born to play the infield. He's a natural infielder. The Guardians have done this a lot. I'd go ahead and put him at second base. And then when you put him out, if you do put Freeman at second base, we'll include him in the right field conversation for now. But I think you're still going to see Freeman get time and right. I think you're going to see Brennan and Noel get time and right. Maybe Noel and Manzardo switch off DH times. And I think you could even see Carlos Santana in that DH spot there as well. This team is going to be very similar to last year's in that Vogt is definitely going to give his guys his rest days, and he's going to mix up the lineup a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much, summed it up perfectly. A big thing that I want to touch on is I thought it was fake when it happened, but, you allude to the Guardians turning all these guys into outfielders. How about bringing back Tyler Naquin as a pitcher? Can we talk about that real quick?
I mean, at that point, is he a lock to make the opening day? Like, this is also why I think Stephen Vogt is in one of the more unique positions in any manager in baseball right now, because you have so many guys that are just purely here on your roster to play the positions they were born to play, and you can pick numerous of them and not be wrong. And now you throw in the piece that this Guardians organization has decided, well, we're going to bring back Tyler Naquin, but actually he's going to be a pitcher. Because I texted you as soon as I saw that, and we all thought moving infielders to outfielders was bad. He's moving an outfielder to be a pitcher? I get outfielders have good arms, but can the guy throw a curveball? Can he throw a slider? What does his fastball look like? Does it have cut? Is it a two-seam? Does he just throw straight heat? I know nothing about what Tyler Naquin brings to the plate, literally, or I should say brings to the mound as a pitcher. I know nothing.
There's a lot of questions when it comes to that. Like you said, I think the velo is going to be there just because he played outfield, but I think the biggest question's does his curveball have movement? What about his sliders? This and that. Everything when it comes to that.
What does he throw? What's in his arsenal? What does he throw? I want to know.
I thought it was fake when I thought we signed a different guy named Tyler Naquin, but he was a pitcher, kind of like the whole Cade Smith thing that we were talking about during the Rule 5 draft. And I was like, oh, this is funny. And then I looked into it and I'm like, no, this is actually Naquin. So that's. Yeah, I mean, I like the pickup sentimentally because, Tyler Naquin's probably in my top 5 favorite players of all time. I love Naquin. Everything he brought to that 2016, 17, 18 team. He was a fun player to watch, so it should be fun on the mound.
I got it.
Do I think he's going to start? No.
I have his pitching regime. I have it. Ready?
Here we go.
All right. So first, a little background on the pitching side of Tyler Naquin. Obviously, most infamously known throughout Cleveland for that walk-off inside the park home run off the wall in Progressive Field against the Toronto Blue Jays. That was awesome.
Yep.
But the last time that he pitched was his freshman year at Texas A&M. Any guess to what year that was, Taven?
I'm going to get this. 2010.
Yeah, 2010. Look at you go.
Naquin fan right here. Nobody ever questioned me on that. Boom.
So he pitched a little bit during his freshman year, and he said throughout some of high school he was a closer and started somewhat. And now whenever he got to A&M, he just threw bullpens. I'm sure he probably threw bullpens for fun, just with his teammates or buddies or something. But the first time he took the mound for a full major league bullpen session was February 22nd, 2024. His pitching regime features a four-seamer, a changeup, and a cutter. That's it. It's all fastballs.
Pretty basic. I like it. I didn't expect more.
Maybe
a curveball, but nothing else.
So let's play a fun game with Tyler Naquin now. Over, under 90 miles an hour. Where's his velo sit at?
Oh, I'm going over. Outfielders bring the velo. You don't think?
I have it right here.
Oh, wow.
He was sitting at 85.
Oh, no.
And even Naquin was in disbelief. He said, I could probably go to the outfield right there and hit 100. Among outfielders,
I will say a crow hop is different from the mound, but
among outfielders who made at least 50 throws, he ranked 4th in 2020 with a 93 mile per hour average, was tied for 9th in 2021, 92.6, and tied for 22nd in 2022 with 92.8. So if he can get that fastball velo up to 93, maybe we have another bridge guy. Who knows? And knowing the way that Stephen Vogt works, Tyler Naquin could be your next Shohei Ohtani. I'm just saying.
That'd be cool. He'd really work in the NL if it was back to the old format, being able to hit and pitch. But, he's definitely a bullpen guy, right? I wouldn't think he's a starter.
Do you want to go back to the pitching regiment and take a look at who's definitely going to get – well, now there's a bullpen spot open because isn't Sobrowski going to be going on – IL?
I don't know how hurt he is. I heard he got injections with something.
I heard something that he's probably going to start the season on the IL. which is great. Also, another guy that's going to start the season on the IL, and another reason we did not mention his name, Taven, Chase DeLauder, back on the IL. Don't we love to see it?
Oh, yeah. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Obviously, not his fault, but can't stay healthy.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Chase DeLauder, hernia in where? Like a core muscle? So abs?
Maybe something like
he had
that.
core muscle surgery, I think, to correct a hernia. Is going to be out for like 12 weeks. And so that's also why we haven't included DeLauder in our right field conversation, because you have to start him in AAA then. Like, you can't just have him come off surgery and put him in the major league club, although they did move him up from Akron really quickly. So if they're that high on him, maybe when he comes back from this surgery and hits in AAA, even if he hits decently well and is putting bat on ball, because the impressive thing about Chase DeLauder is he can hit a home run 450 and barely swing.
Yeah, for sure. One more thing I got on Naquin is, do you think there's a world where we see him take a spot at all in this year, or where do we see him go? Do we see him get cut or go to AAA? Because I know right now he's
because you don't. Here's the thing.
Better than two pitchers we have. I can just name you that right now without him pitching a day in his life, which is McKenzie and obviously Leftwich. That goes without saying.
With the work he's done, his fastball velocity is sitting at 94, 96, and is topped at 97. So I should have kept reading. Sorry, Tyler Naquin.
Yeah, I like it. Already better than McKenzie and Leftwich. So AAA at the least. AAA at the least.
So this article does not say anything about where he expects to be. But what I can tell you so he's a 33 years old, and he did sign a minor league deal, and he reported to minor league camp. So that tells me he's probably not starting with the big league club, which good, because if you're going to work as a pitcher, first time working as a pitcher, and Cleveland's got so many young guys in this organization that can move up and down and play different positions. They don't really need Naquin to play the outfield, although he might give us something to play at right field, just saying. But he's going to start in the minor league somewhere. Maybe it's Akron. I'm probably leaning towards Columbus, but again, just like I have no idea how much movement the cutter or the changeup or anything has, I have no idea where Tyler Naquin is going to start. I know it's not Lynchburg or Lake County, but I don't know if it's Akron or Columbus.
I mean, personally, I think it'd be a lot of fun to see him in Akron, start him there, see what he can do, and just kind of progress him through the minor leagues. I think that'd be really fun to see.
Yeah, is he going to make an appearance as a pitcher in spring training?
He better.
I wonder.
I would hope.
Because I also wonder
toward
if he didn't sign
the tail
in
end.
time. What was that?
I would say definitely toward the tail end. Not early, but maybe the last week we see him.
Maybe. Yeah, that's very, very interesting to go on and talk about. But let's see. I feel like we got to talk about one more thing. One more thing here to round out the show. You got a topic in mind? I mean, we kind of ran through the pitching, the hitting. Who's someone that I guess you want to see improve hitting and pitching side, or maybe just something you're expecting for the rest of spring training? Because again, guys are going to continue to figure out things with their swings. They're going to figure out hand placement on all their different pitches.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing I kind of want to see improve the most is Juan Burrito. I think that goes without saying. Obviously, everybody kind of thought he was going to be a lock for, that second base spot, and I don't think it really kind of happened the way people wanted to. Now, I mean, guys, they always have their fair share of struggles. I think Burrito's one of those guys who's in a little bit of a slump right now. Will he get out of it? 100%. You don't do what he did in Double and AAA and just kind of fall into that, forever. I think he gets out of it, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna have to happen pretty quick here if he wants to make a quick turnaround and get to the major leagues, because you can't keep doing this for another 2 weeks and expect to make the roster, because I just don't think that's gonna happen with the way that Stephen Vogt, kind of guys like Arias, Schneemann, and Freeman, like you said, knocking on the door.
Kind of the same thing with Ortiz and Saccone there as well. Maybe not so much Ortiz. I think Ortiz kind of knows that his roster spot is pretty safe because I believe that it is. I think you believe that it is. And so what's the harm in going out there and trying stuff, right? Now you can fall yourself into a trap at that point, but I genuinely just don't think Ortiz has had a good outing yet, like a really solid good outing. Has he? Maybe I'm wrong on that.
I don't think he has. I know he only pitched like 2 or 3 times. Probably. What are we thinking here?
I don't think he does.
Let's see.
I just genuinely don't think he's got. Now ESPN isn't showing me because it's spring training and they don't care.
At MLB.com, 3 games, he's 0-2 with a 14.14 ERA, 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, 2.14 WHIP.
Nope. Again, read through those stats earlier. Not good. He's got to find a way to turn it around, and maybe he's trying stuff and just being experimental. Now's the time. You're in the final 2 weeks of spring training. You got to lock in here. You have to.
For sure. I think, I like you said, I think his spot's safe. I think Slade is, more than gone at this point in terms of MLB. Now, I do think we'll keep him around as a AAA guy. Yeah, that's kind of just where I sit with those 2 guys alone.
Okay, let's talk about a couple non-Guardians things that are happening in the sport of baseball. Let's talk about very briefly the Garrett Cole situation that is happening right now. I mean, that's just a tough blow. I mean, as a Guardians fan, it's kind of funny.
I wasn't going to go there, but yeah, we'll go there.
Dude, Cole's elbow is just done. He's had so much work on that
obviously
elbow.
you don't wish for anybody to go down, but with as cocky as that dude is, and it being the Yankees, I don't feel sad at all. I mean, we'll phrase it like that.
I mean,
if it happened to happen to a team,
because I don't wish injury on anyone, and I definitely don't ever want to see a pitcher as good as Garrett Cole go down because that's bad for the sport of baseball.
For sure.
But it is kind of funny that it happened to the New York Yankees.
Again, though, I mean, I was having a conversation with my dad earlier. It's with it being the Yankees, they'll probably just reload and pick up Scooball at the deadline.
I mean, you lost Nestor Cortez. I don't know if Luis Gil is going to be out for a little bit now. He's dealing. I mean, that Yankees rotation is bare bones.
Yeah, and it went from being really, really good to
kind of mid.
Nothing now.
Yeah, especially now with the injuries to Cole, Gil. You lose Cortez to the Brewers. Juan Soto's gone now. Like, you still have Judge and Stanton, but also now Gleyber Torres is gone. So, Yankees can be in some trouble this year. I mean, some real trouble.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what we each said about the Yankee win total, but now I'm definitely going under whatever that number is.
I want to say it was in the very high 90s.
Under.
Yeah, way under. If I had to pick a number, I mean, there's.
I think we picked under on them. I think we picked under on them already, but I'm hammering it now.
Yeah, I don't. If you had to throw a win total out, I'd go 87, maybe. It's tough to win without pitching. It's real tough.
Yeah.
That's why I'm shooting there. Maybe even lower.
Ohio State baseball knows that. My college knows that. Winning without pitching is hard. You can have all the offense in the world, but if your pitchers can't do anything,
Yeah.
For context, my college in their first 8 games of the season had 5 where they allowed double-digit runs.
Wow.
I think Ohio State baseball had like the same problem. So, yeah, that just cannot happen.
No, it
can't. Spoiler alert. You got to have good, which is what the Guardians are built on, good pitching. So, hey, what are we worried about, right? We're going to win some games this year, baby.
Oh, yeah. Got a deep rotation.
Yeah.
AAA, AA.
Last Last final thing here. And I'm sure you got thoughts on this. We might spend some more time on this. I don't really know where this conversation is going to go, but the presidential pardon has been given to Pete Rose, and the Baseball Hall of Fame is now looking at possibly including him in Cooperstown. No matter your thoughts politically, what do you think about this whole story? And what avenues it might be able to open up?
I haven't paid any attention to it until you actually just brought it up, but I still don't think they're going to let him in the Hall of Fame. That's just my personal opinion on that.
I kind of think they do, but if they do, I think Bonds and Sosa and Canseco and all those guys, at the very least, Barry Bonds, deserve to be in the Hall of Fame too. Like,
I think, if they go down that avenue, I think they will, obviously let Bonds and Sosa in. Now, do I think those guys should be let in? No. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, in the whole steroids, I'm going to say no on that.
So my thing with it is the Hall of Fame is supposed to tell the story of the game. And it's like if you're reading Harry Potter and you're skipping all the way through and you reach chapter 19 and you finish chapter 19 and then you get to chapter 20 and you're just like, 2020 was a sucky year. I don't want to read chapter 20, and you skip. Like, you can't do that. You can't just skip a whole chapter in a book. So to me, with the Hall of Fame, it's always you have to tell the story. And whether baseball likes it or not, and we very well know that they don't, the steroid era is part of the story. And Barry Bonds had 400-plus home runs probably before he even started taking these things, which just increased his rate exponentially. So, or maybe I'm exaggerating. That 400 number is probably way less than that before he started taking roids. But him, Sosa, Canseco, Mark McGwire, like all of these guys were phenomenal players during that era of baseball. And what if in 5 years, everyone is taking steroids and the Baseball Hall of Fame can't just say, that's it, we're done, no more baseball, the Hall of Fame? Like, to me, and I clearly see your opinion on it. Like, I value it. Again, it was a very, very bad era. Well, not a bad era entertainment-wise, but a very bad era in terms of ethically in the sport of baseball, but it's still part of the story, and I think it's got to be told.
So my thing on that is, I mean, I see where you're coming from with, the most important players, because obviously Bonds is, one of the most important players in baseball history. But the Hall of Fame to me is the best players in baseball. Now, if you look at stats, Bonds is obviously at the top of that list. But it's the way that, he kind of went with it. Because if then you let Bonds in, then you start to look at the NFL. Not saying guys like Antonio Brown cheated, but he, at one point was, if you look at the stats early on in his career, he has the stats to be one of the best wide receivers in history. Went a little bit off the rails. He'll never get in because of some of the stuff he did after his career. But if you look at it that way, he was a part of this early 2010s era. So you got to look at it like that. So
yeah, I mean, we could go back and forth here forever. You're going to believe what you believe. I'm going to believe what I believe. I think we can agree to disagree on this one. But when you go back and you focus on the Pete Rose conversation, now gambling is a much more present thing in all sports, and it happens everywhere. And it's probably the second, if not bigger than a lot of the commercial revenue and ticket revenue that teams make. The revenue they make off of gambling and the revenue that these leagues and these teams and everyone else, not players, because obviously they can't do that. I don't think they see any of these profits. If Donovan Mitchell goes over his 24.5 points projected, he hasn't seen a cut of anything, which, I mean, I don't think he should, but regardless, I digress. The reason that this is happening is because gambling is becoming such a more precedent thing. I don't know if Cooperstown would be mulling this decision if President Trump didn't give him the presidential pardon. I have no idea, and I'm not going to get political in that way. But the fact that this is happening, I mean, Pete Rose, before he died, in his last interview before laying on his deathbed said, yeah, I'm well aware I will probably get in the Hall of Fame after I die. And he very well might be correct.
He could. He very could.
So if you want my opinion, I mean, I've always thought Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame with all the steroid era guys. Obviously, you only agree with one half of that argument, but
Yeah.
if Pete Rose is going to get into the Hall of Fame, man, I think it's going to open some doors.
Oh, for sure. That's no question about it.
And it could open some doors because you look at what Major League Baseball did. I believe it was just this last year in integrating, I think, the Negro leagues into the baseball record book. And so now if you throw baseball is going through a ton of changes. So now if you throw Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame and you now are like, okay, so that was nice. Let's start to mull on these steroid era guys and rethink this. Then their records get added to it. And it's baseball changes, I think, in these next 2 or 3 years from a historic standpoint, I think are going to be wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's gonna be a lot of changes, like you said. So it should be very interesting.
Hey, are there any new rule? Oh, one final thing we'll touch on here as well. How do you like the automatic ball strike system?
I like it. I like the way that they can challenge it. I mean, I think that's kind of you can challenge almost anything else in baseball. Why not? Yeah, I'm fully in on it. I don't like the robot umps, but I think if you're not gonna go there, I think you definitely have to stick with this.
So here's my sort of battle with it. People now will say, well, if you're going to use ABS, then what's the deal with the home plate umpire? Like, you're going to pay someone to sit behind there and make a call at home plate every once in a while. And if you take out the home plate umpire and you take out the human element of it entirely, then it just sort of defeats a purpose of strategy, because not only are the pitchers trying to figure out the hitters and the hitters try to figure out the pitchers that first time through the rotation, and this is just analytical statistical proof, pitchers tend to struggle the deeper and deeper into the batting order they go, or the more and more times they see it. Second time through the order is worse than the first time, and if they get to a third time, it is way worse than the second or first time that they see these guys at the plate. So, which is why it's so hard to throw a no-hitter, so hard to throw a complete game, because these are professional hitters. They are figuring out these pitchers. But if you go with the automatic ball strikes entirely and you just eliminate the human element of it from the umpires, it sort of defeats a purpose of strategy. Now, do you know how they're redefining the strike zone?
I don't. Do you?
So here it is. It is 17% of your height long by like 53.5% of your height tall. I think it's something like that. I know there's a 17% and a 53.5%. If you don't know sort of what I'm talking about, or kind of if that's hard to visualize, which I'm actually going to try to do for all of you right now, ignore anything you see. So basically, what they're saying is from the ready position, I have to move that back a little bit more. What they're saying is from the ready position, so you're in your striking stance, right? Basically, the strike zone is going to be from like your sort of knees-ish, like shins-ish, to like your belly button, which is really low. Like the high strike is just not going to exist at all anymore, basically, in ABS. So if you don't agree with the high strike, then challenge it, because you're probably going to win it.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with being able to call or challenge balls and strikes, for that matter.
I am too, and I kind of like the way that they're redefining the strike zone. But now, like umpires, you could see them really struggle this year because they now have to relearn that strike zone. And again, like if you're not going to call the high strikes at all, like that kind of helps and hurts both parties, because it could hurt batters that like that high fastball in the zone, but it also could help the pitchers in the fact that, like, okay, this guy likes the high fastball. Now there's no point in even throwing it because it's a ball every single time.
Right. Yeah, I also like how quick it is too. I mean, you don't challenge
Yeah.
it, and then you got to wait, a minute for like if you were to challenge a play, it's just instant almost. So that's pretty nice.
I think it's going to be fascinating to see how baseball uses this technology because I think if they make one mistake with it, then a lot of things can start trending in a very not so good direction.
Yeah, are
Because
they using it in the
I
minor
want them
leagues?
to keep that human element in it as much as possible.
Yeah, I still think you need an umpire behind home plate. I don't think that will change. Did you hear if they're using that in the minor leagues too, or just MLB?
I know that they're testing it in spring training,
Right.
but it's not going to be implemented in the major leagues. Um, it might be. I thought it was already in the AAA level last year. I think the challenging of which was in the AAA level already. Now I could be wrong on that, but I recall seeing it at the AAA level, or at least at some level of baseball somewhere. If it wasn't minor league baseball AAA, some division of baseball somewhere in this great country just had the automatic ball strike challenge system. I have not read whether they're going to be using it in minor league baseball this year. If you want to find that out real fast.
Yeah, let me.
But I'll keep sort of debriefing what it is again. And so, and to your point, I like that they can challenge it. I like that either the pitcher or hitter can challenge. Um,
Oh yeah. Yep.
I still like that it's umpire controlled and whatnot. But now, like, here's the thing: an umpire, and you've seen this before. Like a lot of the umpires can just the umpires sort of have their own strike zone that they abide by, and they all sort of have their own rules. But now umpires are kind of going to have to learn the same thing. Now, like Aaron Judge's strike zone is a whole lot bigger than Jose Altuve's strike zone. If you don't know and you sort of want a better explanation or representation of it, John Boy Media has a fantastic short out there. I recommend you go watch it. But I mean, Aaron Judge's and Jose Altuve's opposite ends of the height spectrum, obviously, are like a ball and a quarter apart. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, all I'm seeing is that they just used it last year in the AAA, so I'm not seeing anything this year.
Maybe they could use
But
it this year.
I
Right?
assume they're just going to continue it if they use it last year. I don't see how they would change it.
Hopefully, maybe Double A, High A gets a hold of it. I don't know if all Double A, High A ballparks will have that technology available to them.
Right.
But I do think that if you're going to have it in AAA and testing it out last year is great, and testing out in spring training this year is great, and I think we're going to see it in the major league level at some point. But I know a lot of people are out there, to go back to my point earlier, saying, well, if this is going to stay, then you need to use it all the time, and there should never be a home plate umpire. If you have the technology to use it, let's just use it. What's the point of a home plate umpire? And I just don't like that fact because technology can screw up sometimes, and I still like that there's the sort of human element involved with it. And I think that's also going to make job a hell of a lot harder for pitchers, because where's the technology going to sort of preach the strike zone? Are they going to preach it when it crosses the front? Is there going to be a 3D strike zone to where if it comes and clips the corner of home plate, then are they going to call it a strike then? Like, from what I've seen, it's basically a 2D view. It's when it crosses the plate. But, sliders and curveballs, it's in the name. They curve and slide. So
yeah, and then I mean it gets rid of the art of framing too.
yeah,
I mean, catchers don't have to frame anymore, and that kind of takes away from one of the things that Austin Hedges is really useful for.
The only thing Austin Hedges is useful.
Well,
for.
He's good at defense too. He can pick balls. Anything behind the plate, he's useful for. Once he gets in the box, it's flips 180. But it takes away one of the three things that
I still thought that was funny that Ethan laughed at the fact that Austin Hedges will never do anything offensively ever.
Yeah,
And I was like, well, it's like the most true thing ever. So
it is.
the one thing that I did say, I was at a Guardians game. It was the 10-1 game in like July when they got shellacked by Tariq Skubal and the Tigers. But Hedges was up with the bases loaded, and I remember like if this guy scores and this guy knocks in a run, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It was the only run they scored that day because he laid down a perfect bunt.
I think I remember that. And I had like the same thing. I know we went up to when the Guardians played Toronto and they had like that hit parade, but Bo Naylor hit a home run to get it started. I still don't know how he possibly did that.
Bo Naylor has shown some pop though. He's hit a couple
little bit here and there. I'll give it to him.
Who is the club leader in home runs throughout spring training? We'll find this out. Do you have a guess? Don't look. Do you have a guess? Well, okay. So five guys are tied with 2. Can you name at least 2 of them?
Schneemann.
Okay, he's one.
And Burrito. We touched on that.
Yep, Burrito now. Yep.
So there's 2. Burrito.
So 6,
Schneemann.
actually 6.
Wow. It's not Noel, is it?
Nope.
No.
He's only got 1. But again, he's putting bat on ball in other ways, which good for him.
Manzardo?
Yep, Manzo's got 2.
All right, so we're at 3 halfway.
1 more major league player.
1 more.
We just talked about him. You just talked about him.
Bo Naylor?
Uh-huh.
No, really?
Yeah, he's got 2.
Wow.
He's got 2 and 5 hits. He's got 2.
Holy. All right. I'll give it to him. Who's the other 2?
You're going to be surprised at him. They're both minor league players. They're not making the major league roster.
Will Wilson?
Nope. Wait. He did hit one today. So let me see. No, that was his first. So that was Will Wilson.
I saw he hit one today. I don't know if he had another.
Yes.
Both minor league guys not making the roster. Yordis Valdez.
He does. He has 2.
Oh, that's almost as many as he hit all year last year.
He has 2. He's finding some pop in that bat, man. I think he's going to climb the ranks pretty fast.
I'll give him credit.
The other one is Jorge Burgos.
Yeah, I wasn't getting that, but I see it. Dude's got power in his bat.
Yeah. 4 and 10. All right, let's keep playing this game because I'm having fun. All right, 3 pitchers have double-digit strikeouts.
3 pitchers, major or minor?
They're all potential major league guys.
Gavin Williams has got to be one, right?
He leads with 16.
Okay, so there's 1.
I did mention this earlier in the show, by the way.
Ben Lively?
Nope.
No.
He's not a strikeout machine. He's only got 4.
I know it's not Bybee.
Not because he's pitched once.
Right. Wow, this is tough.
But both starters. So think about workload. Both starters.
Right. Not Ortiz. Logan Allen?
Yep. 10.
Wow. The other guy's got what? How
10.
many? 10? Nick Casey. Gotta be.
Yep.
Boom.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Name me a category.
I don't even know where you're finding these stats at.
I'm on ESPN, baby. They got all the spring training stats.
ESPN. What? Guardians stat leaders?
Yep. Let's do a fun one. In players with at least 10 at-bats. Oh, that's too many. Oh, that's games played. Oh, I'm done. Okay, so it's fine. In players with at least 10 at-bats, who leads OPS? He's also one of the leaders in homers, so you got 6 names.
Schneemann.
Nope.
In OPS?
Yep.
What?
It's the guy you weren't going to get for home runs.
Oh, Burgos.
Yeah, 1.6.
He leads.
Yeah. Now, in guys with at least 15 plate appearances, who leads OPS?
Is it Freeman?
It is Freeman.
There it is.
1.363. All right. Last one. Guys with at least 20.
20. Schneemann.
No.
No.
Schneemann has 16.
Oh, he didn't even have 20 plate appearances?
And if you're going off by the 15 rule, then he's like fourth.
Rocchio?
He's second. Dude's been raking. Finding his groove.
Bo Naylor.
No. Me
Give it
giving
to
you his OPS is probably not going to help. 1.231.
No, I don't know. 1.23.
He also leads the club in total bases this spring training. It's Manzardo.
There it is.
So there you go. Powerful things from Kyle Manzardo. I really want to find more, but there really isn't much you can find during spring training. All right.
Yeah.
Besides catchers,
Not a whole lot.
who leads? Besides catchers and first baseman, who leads in total putouts? There are 3 guys tied with 15. They're all shortstops.
Not Khalil Watson.
No, he has. Oh, you want to talk about disappointments?
A little bit. And more so in the field than with the bat. I forget what
he's
game.
got like
Might have been the first spring training
He's got
game.
like a .85 something fielding percentage. Just horrible.
Not great.
So both of them, or I should say all 3 of them, saw majority of their time in AA last season. Leader in putouts.
Valdez.
Yeah, besides catchers and first baseman, Valdez is 1 with 15. There are 2 more with 15.
Lampy.
No. Shortstops.
No.
All of them.
Oh, shortstop. Whoa.
All of them are shortstops. Leading outfielder is Jonathan Rodriguez, actually.
Roki or no? No.
This guy played more third base in AA.
AA. Frias.
No, he played like third and second. Third and second.
Really?
He interchanged. Not a lot of shortstop, if I remember correctly.
Down in third baseman last year in Akron was Frias for majority of the reps.
So think second then.
Second, Tolentino.
Yeah. And then the other one is our Rule 5 pick.
Wilson. Boom.
Boom. All right. Well, I got nothing else. That was just kind of a fun little time killer. We finally got X back up. So what do we get to today?
I went back down again, like 5 minutes after I got it rolling. But total viewership today, 28. Not bad for technical difficulties. We appreciate everybody out there today. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Should be back on X.
Yeah, hopefully X is back up. Elon, come on, man. We got a show to do here. Well, make sure you tell all your friends and family, watch the replay. Again, we want to try to get that viewership number to triple digits consistently during the season. So tell all your friends, tell all your family. Taven, where can they find us on social media?
At Prospects of the Land on, X. That's going to be the main thing for all the updates, everything of that nature. And then myself at McKelly. Yep, BelieveLand Media for myself at McKelly_media on, X, Instagram at Tailgate Nate for everything he's doing on X and Instagram for, the personals.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, sorry for technical difficulties. We will technically, if you go back and rewatch on YouTube, have 2 shows up, but we'll try to get the one that's shorter taken down or deleted or something so that this one is the only one there for today. But Taven and I are going to sign off. I'm going to hopefully go watch Cleveland State win a basketball game, get to the Horizon League final. They got to get to March. Taven, you good with coming back on the 24th?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
That's 2 weeks from now, and we will
Right before
fully dive
day.
in, start previewing opening day. And I think next week on the 24th, we can start to rattle through minor leagues as well and start to go back to doing the show weekly. So next week, 24th, start weekly shows.
Starting it up. Should be fun.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Right.
Thanks for persevering with us in the technical difficulties.
Appreciate everybody. We'll be back on the 24th.